In today's video, we're going to take a look at our area formulas and talk just a little bit about perimeter. But really quickly, with the foldable that you picked up in class today, what you want to do is cut it into 3 strips on the dotted lines like we see here. And then basically you're going to take the top strip, put it over the middle strip, put it over the third strip, and create a little booklet that looks like this. If you flip it over on the other side, you should see the words triangle, trapezoid, and circle if you kind of separate the pages a little bit. Once you have those words, triangle, trapezoid, and circle, in that order, you should be able to take the top of your foldable and just kind of flip it over to the bottom. And you can then crease along the top and you should have a little flip book. So what we're going to do today is we're going to fill this out. We're going to talk a little bit about our formulas, try some examples, and then just talk quickly about perimeter. So for our area formulas, just a couple of quick things really quickly. We're going to start with a rectangle. And if we open that up, find the area of the rectangle below. Well, for area of a rectangle, I'm just going to add it down here on the bottom. Area is equal to the base times the height. Now, with the base and the height, no matter what the shape, the base and the height always have to form 90 degrees. So if we're looking at example number 1, we have our base and our height, which are two sides that come together to form 90 degrees. So those two sides right there form 90 degrees. So one of them is going to be our base, the other one's going to be our height. So area of this rectangle is base times height. The base is the 7.5 feet. The height is the 10 feet. And then we can go ahead and we can multiply those together, and we're going to end up getting 75 feet squared. Now, just a reminder that area is basically the space inside of the figure. So, for example, if we had a field and we wanted to plant something inside of the field, the area would be how much of it we were going to fill up or how much we were going to plant inside. Perimeter, on the other hand, is the area outside or around the outside. So if we were talking about the same field, the perimeter would be how much fencing we wanted to put up around it. Okay, so then go ahead and try the second example. And then we're going to take a look at area of a parallelogram. Now, parallelogram has exactly the same area formula as a rectangle. It's base times height, but again, the base and the height have to form 90 degrees. So if we look at example number 3, it says find the area of the parallelogram below. Well, I see a right angle right here, and I have this height, which is 3.9 feet, and I have this side, which is 8.2 feet. And if there's a right angle down here, there's also going to be a right angle up above. And so my base and my height are the 3.9 and the 8.2. So to find the area, I'm going to multiply the base and the height. So I'm going to multiply 8.2 and 3.9. And when I multiply the 8.2 and the 3.9, I end up getting 31.98. And again, we're talking about feet squared. It's a two-dimensional figure, so our units are going to be squared for the area. And then there's one down below for you to try. For a triangle, this time our area formula is 1/2 base times height. And again, no matter when we have a base and a height, they have to form 90 degrees. So if we look up above at example number 5, find the area of the triangle below. We have a base, we have a height, they form 90 degrees, and so my area formula is going to be 1/2 times the base times the height. So it's half of 7 times 11.2. Now, just really quickly, the reason that it's half base times height is because really this thing right here came from a rectangle, and the triangle that we're looking at is half of the base times the height. And when we multiply the base and the height, we get 78.4, and it's going to be half of that. So half of 78.4 is going to give us 39.2. And this time we're looking at meters squared. All right, so again, go ahead and try the one down below. And we're then going to take a look at the area formula for a trapezoid. So area formula for a trapezoid, I'm going to write small because this is kind of a long one, is 1/2 times the height. And then this time we have two bases, so we have to add those together, base 1 and base 2. So our formula is 1/2 times the height times the sum of the bases. So again, if we look up at the top at example number 7, it says find the area of the trapezoid below. So we have area is 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. So my height is 2 miles. And my bases are 2.5 miles and 4 miles. And so I'm going to go ahead and add those together. And I get half of 2, which is 1. And then 2.5 plus 4 is 6.5. And so I end up with 1 times 6.5, which is 6.5 miles. And we're talking about area, so again, our units will be squared. All right, our last example, or our last shape that we're going to take a look at, is a circle. And so down at the bottom, excuse me, down at the bottom where it says circle, formula for area of a circle is pi times the radius squared, or pi r squared. So if we take a look at this example, number 9, it says find the area of a circle below, use 3.14 for pi. So our area formula is pi times the radius squared, and our radius is 3. And so we end up getting 9 times pi. And sometimes your answer will, they'll ask you to leave it in terms of pi, which means you just leave pi in your answer. Sometimes they'll want your answer as a decimal, and that's when you actually go to your calculator and multiply 9 times pi. And most of the calculators that we're going to use have pi on them, so you can just use the pi button. I'll show you where that is tomorrow. But if you're at home and you don't have your calculator, you can just use 3.14 to approximate it, and we end up getting something around 28.26. And we're talking about meters and area, so it'd be meters squared. So with this, what I'd like you to do is go back through and fill in any of the examples or try any of the examples that we didn't do together, and then remember that you do have Math Excel assignment to go along with this.